Welcome back, everybody, to Data Designed with Molkup. We are absolutely ready to roll today.
We really are.
It is Friday, February 27th, 2026, and this is episode 8. And I'm honestly incredibly hyped for today's session because we're tackling a monster that I think keeps a lot of people awake at night.
It certainly does. It's one of those topics that sounds maybe a bit dry on the surface, financial reporting, but when you're actually in the thick of it, it is incredibly high stakes.
Exactly. We are doing a deep dive into optimizing financial performance through visual dashboard templates. Now, before you tune out thinking this is just about, doing taxes or balancing a checkbook, let me ask you a question. Do you actually know where your business's money is coming from right now?
Like at this exact second.
Right, at this exact second. Or does managing your finances feel a bit like you're just drowning in a sea of spreadsheets?
That feeling of drowning is, it's actually way more common than you'd think. We call it cash flow chaos. And
Yeah.
if you feel that way, you are absolutely not alone.
I love that term, cash flow chaos. I mean, it sounds like a bad band name, but it's a terrifying business reality.
It really is. And the data we have for today backs it up. Looking at the research for this deep dive, there is a statistic that really sets the stage. Around 30% of invoiced revenue becomes overdue for many businesses.
Wait, hold on. Let's unpack that. 30%.
30.
That is almost a third of your money just floating in the ether.
Think about that. You have done the work, you've sent the bill, you've paid your staff to do the job, and the money it isn't there. It's in limbo. And on top of that, nearly half of finance leaders say they struggle to access reliable financial data when they actually need it.
That is wild to me. So half the time, the people specifically in charge of the money can't even see the money clearly. It's like flying a plane where the fuel gauge only works 50% of the time.
Precisely. And that's exactly the problem we're solving today. It's not about becoming a better accountant. It's about visibility.
Yeah.
It's about having a flashlight in a dark room. And the solution our sources point to is the concept of the financial dashboard.
And specifically, we're going to look at how we structure and design, really how we wireframe these dashboards using frameworks from mockup.ai. Because it's one thing to just have data. It's another thing entirely to design it visually in a way that actually makes sense.
Absolutely.
So let's dive into the philosophy here. What exactly is a financial dashboard in this context? How is wireframing a dashboard different from just, opening Excel?
So a financial dashboard is essentially a visual tool designed to track metrics in one single place. The critical distinction here is that it replaces the need to switch between multiple reports.
Oh, the Alt-Tab dance.
Yeah.
Switching from the bank login to the spreadsheet to the email.
And the CRM, exactly. It kills efficiency and it introduces a ton of error. But here's the nuance, and this is key for anyone listening who wants to wireframe one of these using Mockup. The goal of the wireframe is not deep accounting analysis.
It's not. See, I would have assumed the more detail on the screen, the better.
No, and that is such a common trap when people start designing these. The goal is clarity. A deep accounting report with thousands of rows, that's for an audit, that's for looking backward. A dashboard wireframe is designed for a decision. It's for looking forward.
That's a great way to put it. A dashboard is for a decision. So if I'm sitting down to wireframe one of these using a mock-up template, what are the core principles I need to keep in my head?
There are two big ones that come up in the research. First is relevance over volume.
Oh, I am definitely guilty of violating this one. It is so tempting to put every single number on the screen because you think, well, I might need it someday.
Yes.
It's like financial hoarding.
And that is the absolute quickest way to make a dashboard completely useless. Good wireframing prioritizes metrics that directly reflect performance. We're talking inflows, outflows, profitability. If a metric doesn't help you make a decision right now, get it off the main screen.
Makes sense. Strip it down.
Exactly. And the second principle is presentation.
Which sounds obvious. We want the dashboard to look good. But what does that actually mean practically when you're laying it out for a finance team?
It means logical metric grouping and consistent layouts. When you wireframe it correctly, it turns a static summary, something you just look at once and file away, into a functional tool for ongoing reporting. You need to be able to glance at the layout and instantly know the story the numbers are telling without needing a decoder ring.
Okay, so visual structure really matters. It's not just about making it pretty, it's about making it functional. Let's get into the weeds here. Our source material gives us 5 specific mock-up templates that illustrate these concepts beautifully.
Yes, they are great examples.
I want to walk through these because they really show how different wireframe designs solve entirely different problems. Let's start with number 1. The cash flow planner.
This is a favorite of mine because the design represents a total shift in perspective. Most financial reports look backward, right? What happened last month? But the cash flow planner is fundamentally about planning and forecasting.
So it's kind of a crystal ball.
In a way, yeah. It focuses on projected income and expenses. The way you wireframe this is to organize these projections so you can answer one very specific, very scary question.
Which is?
Is our planned cash inflow enough to cover our upcoming costs?
The classic sleep at night question.
It really is. The layout allows teams to evaluate scenarios visually. You aren't just tracking what you spent on coffee yesterday, you're preparing for massive obligations next month. It replaces complex, messy spreadsheet modeling with a very clear visual yes or no regarding your liquidity.
I can totally see how valuable that would be. Instead of being completely surprised that you're broke on the 15th, you see it coming on the 1st.
Exactly.
And when we talk about wireframing this in mockup, we're usually looking at a timeline view, right? Like bars for income, bars for expenses.
Spot on. You want to visually see the gap in the wireframe. If you lay out the expense bar and it's higher than the income bar for 3 months in a row, you don't need a degree in finance to know you have a problem. You can see it instantly on the screen.
It's democratizing the data. You don't need to be the CFO to understand a simple bar chart. Okay, moving on to template number 2, the Expense Insights Dashboard.
Now, this one addresses the exact pain point you mentioned earlier, drowning in spreadsheets just to find where the money went.
Death by Excel, where you know you spent the money, but you have to open 12 different tabs to figure out which department actually spent it.
Right. So the problem this specific wireframe solves is consolidation. Visually, it highlights expense categories and trends in one neat view.
So instead of just seeing a total number like, hey, we spent $10,000, you're actually seeing the visual breakdown.
Exactly. And more importantly, you see the trend. The way this is designed allows businesses to see how spending patterns change over time. It visually compares actual costs versus expected budgets.
Okay, so if my marketing spend suddenly spikes in March, the layout of this dashboard flags it immediately.
Yes. It's all about cost control. You identify the major expense drivers visually before they spiral out of control. It turns the question of where did the money go into here is exactly where the money's going, and here is how it compares to what we planned.
I really love that. It brings accountability. And if you wireframe this correctly in mockup, you can probably break it down by department too, right? So sales can see their spend on one screen, marketing can see theirs.
That's the beauty of using a dedicated wireframing tool to design this. You can create different custom views for different stakeholders, but the core metric taking center stage remains the same variance analysis. Are we over budget or under budget?
Very cool. Okay, let's talk about getting paid. Template number 3 is the Invoice Management Dashboard.
This connects directly back to that scary statistic we started with, the 30% of revenue that becomes overdue.
That number still shocks me. Every time you say it, I just imagine a bucket with a giant hole in the bottom.
It should shock you, and this dashboard design is literally the patch for that hole. The wireframe connects billing directly to cash flow.
What are the key metrics we're putting on this screen?
The key metrics visualized here are issued invoices, pending payments, overdue amounts, and payment status trends.
So visually, how does this layout actually change things for a team? Because usually an invoice list is just that, a list, a long, boring, scrolling text list.
Right, and a list doesn't drive action. The dashboard moves revenue from being assumed to being monitored. A lot of businesses just assume that because they sent an invoice, they basically have the money. This dashboard is designed to scream, no, you don't have it yet.
A visual reality check.
It is. The wireframe typically includes what we call an aging report visual. So you might design buckets on the screen 0 to 30 days, 30 to 60 days, and then the dreaded 90-plus days.
The danger zone.
Exactly. If you open the dashboard and see a massive red bar sitting in the 90-plus days column, you know exactly who to call. It helps teams follow up on late payments and reduce cash flow disruptions. And it takes the emotion out of it, too. You aren't calling because you're annoying. You're calling because the dashboard shows a clear discrepancy.
And that leads to actual cash in the bank, which is the whole point of all of this.
Exactly.
Now let's zoom out a bit. Template number 4 is the Portfolio Performance Dashboard. This one sounds a bit more, I don't know, strategic.
It is much more strategic. This wireframe is about broader reporting and a high-level profitability review. The design logic here is to combine revenue, costs, and performance indicators all into one unified view.
What's the aha moment with this one? Why do I need this layout if I already have the other 3 we just talked about?
The aha moment is understanding the drivers. The way you structure this dashboard helps identify areas of strength or weakness across different segments or time periods. It visually answers the question, what is actually driving our profit?
Right. Because you might have a product that brings in a ton of revenue,
Hmm.
but if you look at the visual and the costs are sky high, the actual profit bar might be tiny.
Exactly. Or you might have a star client who pays you a huge retainer, but the data shows they require so much support that you're actually losing money on them.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That is a painful realization to see on a screen.
It is painful, but you need to see it to fix it. This specific dashboard design stops you from being blinded by vanity metrics, like just looking at top-line revenue. You see the whole picture mapped out, revenue minus costs equals your actual performance.
Got it. So we've planned the cash, we've tracked the expenses, we've chased the invoices, and we've analyzed the profit. That brings us to template number 5, the financial summary and analysis.
This is the high-level view, the big picture.
I like to call this one the health check, or maybe the board meeting saver.
That's a perfect name for it. The wireframe for this template aggregates everything. It brings together revenue totals, expenses, cash positions, and a few selected performance ratios into one clean layout.
So this is what the CEO wants to see on their iPad on Monday morning.
Precisely. They do not have time to wade through the invoice aging report. They want to pull up a well-designed screen and instantly know, are we healthy, are we growing, are we safe?
So it allows for a very quick assessment of the overall status in a single unified layout.
It's the pulse check. If this dashboard looks good, if the visual indicators are green, you can go have a second cup of coffee. If it looks bad, if there's a bunch of red on the screen, then you dive into the other 4 templates to find out exactly why.
And that is actually a perfect transition to how these things work together in practice.
Yes. Let's talk about the ecosystem, because we've talked about these wireframes as 5 separate templates, but our source material makes it incredibly clear they aren't islands.
No, and treating them as islands is a huge mistake. They represent a complete workflow. The research provides a really great scenario to illustrate this flow.
Do you want to lay it out for us? How does a team actually use this ecosystem in the wild?
Sure. Imagine a finance team planning for the next quarter. They don't just stare at one screen. First, they use the cash flow planner to check availability. Like, do we even have the funds to operate?
Right. Step 1, can we afford to exist next month?
Exactly. Then they click over to Expense Insights to control costs. They look at the visuals and say, where can we trim the fat to make that cash go further?
Step 2, tighten the belt.
Then they track the invoices dashboard to ensure payments are actually coming in because they need that cash to fund the plan they just made in step 1.
Step 3, go get the money we're owed.
And finally, they rely on the financial summary to evaluate the overall result before finalizing the entire plan.
So it's a full cycle. You plan, you control, you collect, you review, and the dashboards are simply the visual interface for that cycle.
The visual interface, yes. The result is that you move from tracking individual isolated numbers on a spreadsheet to actually making data-driven decisions. You aren't guessing anymore, you're navigating.
Navigating is the perfect word for it. It feels like so many businesses are just drifting, hoping the current takes them somewhere good.
Wow.
These wireframe templates are the map and the compass.
And the thing about mockup's approach here, using these specific dashboard templates, is that it standardizes that map. You aren't drawing a brand new map from scratch every single month. You have a structure. You have a wireframe that is completely consistent.
Which brings us right back to that very first principle we discussed, clarity. When you use a tool to wireframe these dashboards first, you are forcing yourself to be clear. You can't just dump raw data into a good template. The visual constraints of the template force you to choose what actually matters.
Yes. When you strip away all that noise and just focus on the signal, financial management becomes way less about anxiety and a lot more about strategy.
I think that's crucial for everyone listening to hear. It's so easy to feel overwhelmed by data today. We live in a world of total data overload, but the core message from the source material here is really saying you don't need more data. You need better designed data.
That is the ultimate takeaway. The data usually already exists. It's sitting in a bank portal somewhere, or an ERP system, or a digital shoebox of receipts. The challenge is the design. How do you wireframe that absolute chaos into a dashboard that actually speaks to you?
It reminds me of that saying, design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works. These dashboards are literally how the finance department works.
That is spot on. And using a wireframing tool allows you to prototype that work before you spend thousands of dollars paying developers to build the backend. You can mock it up, pun fully intended, and see if the visual layout actually answers your questions.
Exactly. So let's quickly recap for everyone listening. We started with a big problem, cash flow chaos, 30% overdue invoices, and leaders who can't find the financial data they need.
A very real, very expensive problem for a lot of you out there.
And the solution is not working harder in Excel, it's working more visually, using structured templates like the cash flow planner, expense insights, invoice management, portfolio performance, and the financial summary.
Each one acts as a specific, designed lens to view a different part of your business's health.
And bringing it all back to the title of our show, Data Designed, using customizable wireframe templates like mockups, turns those raw, intimidating numbers into structured views that are incredibly easy to review and compare.
It totally lowers the barrier to entry. You don't need to be a data scientist or a database engineer to build these views if you start with a solid wireframe template. You just need to know what business questions you want to answer.
That's right.
So, here is the call to action for you, the listener. Please, stop relying on manual reporting. Stop relying on that one massive spreadsheet that only one person in the office knows how to update, and if they go on vacation, the whole company just freezes.
Oh, please stop doing that. That is a massive single point of failure.
Start visualizing your financial health. Go look at the mock-up templates. Play around with the wireframes. See what it actually looks like to have your cash flow visually mapped out in front of you.
And before we wrap, I want to leave the listener with a thought, something to really mull over today.
Let's hear it.
If you had to make a critical financial decision for your business in the next 5 minutes, let's say an incredible opportunity came up to buy a competitor or a sudden crisis hit the market, could you find the data to support that decision? Not in an hour, not tomorrow, in 5 minutes.
Oof, that is a really tough question.
If the answer is no, it is time to redesign your view because the market moves fast, and if your data is slow, you lose.
Can you decide in 5 minutes? That's the benchmark. That is the new standard.
Speed and accuracy. That's what a well-designed dashboard wireframe gives you.
Well, there you have it. From chaos to clarity through the power of good design. Thank you so much for breaking all of this down with us today.
It was a pleasure. Always happy to talk about making data actually useful.
And thank you for listening to this deep dive. Go take a look at your dashboards, or lack thereof, and ask yourself the hard questions. We'll catch you on the next session of Data Design with Mockup.